Jackie Lee Price for Shadowboxruk UK. Before we get started, don't forget to like, subscribe and hit that notification bell so you know when we drop new content. Now, today's guest is a Team GB Middleweight. He recently competed in the under-22s in Italy. His name, Ramtin Musah. Today is not my day, clearly. How are you doing?
I'm very good, thank you. How are you?
I'm good, good. Finally, we get you on here.
I know it's been a bit crazy. Last time you were a bit busy, I'm a bit busy, but yeah. I'm happy to be on here.
Yeah, no, I'm really, really glad that we've managed to get you on here. So let me tell people a little bit about you. You're from Beartown Boxing Club, aren't you? And you've literally, you won a bronze earlier this year. Please God, do not do this to me. You won a bronze earlier this year, and you were part of a 9-person team who went out to the under-22 European Championships in Italy this year. Firstly, tell me what that's like to be back boxing in competitive boxing.
Yeah, so I went to a tournament earlier this year. I went to a tournament called Sokias, which was a starter tournament, kind of a build-up before the under-22s. That's the first really major tournament for like anyone not going to the Olympics. So it was quite good just to get out to there, and then from there we had great prep leading up to under the 22s, and it was great. It was great to be back. It was great to be back. Very different because the venue was outside. So it was almost like a massive gazebo that built out of nowhere, and it was in the hotel. So basically, I got ready and then walked straight into the venue, outside.
That must be quite nice, though, in terms of just I'm guessing you allowed people there.
No spectators. The only spectators was boxers, but it was weird. You could almost see the ring, so it was one of them that you can, but then you can't.
Yeah. But you can hear everything that's going on, I guess.
Oh yeah, you could hear and see everything that was going on.
That sounds kind of cool, though, to be fair. And then you travel, obviously, to the Europeans in Italy last month or this month. I keep forgetting what day it is.
Yeah, literally, I got back on Friday.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. So unfortunately, you came up a little bit short. You got knocked out by the Russian, didn't you, at the quarter-final stages? Talk to me about that.
So I got knocked out by the Russian in the quarterfinal stage. He went to win the whole tournament. It was one of them. To be honest, I'm a bit surprised. I think the team was a bit surprised, but it's just international boxing for you. So it was quite weird. It was the scorecards were staggered. I lost the first round 4-1, then won the second round 3-2, and then won the third round 3-2, but it was different judges, and he lost a point for excess holding. But I came away with I lost the 3-2 split decision.
Because you looked absolutely devastated in that picture.
I was absolutely gutted. I had lots of countries come up to me afterwards and like, you didn't lose that and this and that. So, but it's just, you got to roll with the punches. It's just international boxing for you. It is Russia. At the end of the day, they are the best nation, one of the best nations out there. And I knew that I needed to go and make an absolute statement if I was gonna get the decision out there. I thought I did more than enough, but you got to go the extra mile.
Yeah. I mean, firstly, that's brilliant, your kind of attitude to it all, because we know it happens, don't we?
Yeah.
We know it happens.
It's just a part of boxing.
Yeah, I mean, it's a sad part when you've put in that much time, but it is what it is, like you say. Do you just kind of chalk it up to experience?
For me, it's just like I've got to the point where it's like if I don't laugh or if I don't enjoy, I'm just gonna cry. So, like I've got to take the good out the good and the bad out the bad. Like I went in there with a mentality because obviously I knew what it is like for when you box Russians and other countries, and I watched Georgia versus Russia in the 69 kilo category, and this Georgian absolute, like, he won quite convincingly, and he came out with a split decision loss. So, and we all knew as a team, we all knew we were up against it. Anyone facing a Russian. So, like I went there with the whole mentality, I'm gonna do the best I can, and whatever happens will happen. I can't change these judges this decision. If they've got it against me, they've got it against me. Nothing I do. I'm just gonna do the best I can, and hopefully they'll pick the right victor. If I lose, fair enough. I lose, I'll have something to work on. But if I don't, I'm not gonna, like. At least I know I've put everything into it. So it
It
doesn't.
sounds like you've really got your head screwed on.
So it didn't, for me, it didn't actually absolutely kill me. When I came out the ring, I was still smiling, laughing. I had a good joke. Like, I didn't let it ruin my trip. Whereas, like, a lot of people like, you're a lot happier. Like, after a decision like that, I'd be fuming. And everyone was like, "Oh, do you know what? Are you not thinking about appealing it?" I was like, "I'll only appeal if GB think it's, but not a lot got appealed. Not a lot that did get appealed got turned over. The only one that got turned over was Russia. Russia in the finals against Ukraine.
Funnily enough.
Yes,
So,
only the decision to get overturned that in the whole tournament. The Russian got beat by Ukraine, and then they overturned the decision.
oh wow, wow.
Yeah,
Yeah. What can I say? What can I
yeah.
say? I mean, I know you guys get some sort of mental training on the team. I'm wondering though, because you kind of only just been, part of the GB setup. I'm guessing, but I was guessing that you're weren't as mentally strong as maybe some of the other people on GB because they've been there for so long. What has the last year and a half been like for you?
It's been a proper roller coaster because I got on and then I did a bit and then we went like everyone was getting prepped for the Olympics. We went to training camps in Kazakhstan. I was literally there for like 2-3 months, and the next minute they were like, "Oh yeah, by the way, you're going to Kazakhstan for 2 weeks." I was like, "Okay, I'm a," and it was like
Wow.
there. Normally they don't send anyone to Kazakhstan and stuff, countries like that because it's very tough. The sparring is hard.
Yes.
It's very, very tough. I went there and it's like, it was nothing like I've ever experienced. It was like, where was it? It was me, and we had a lot of 75 kilos at the time. It was me, Mark Dickinson, Lewis Richardson, Jordan Reynolds, Carl Fail, and at the time, Sean Lazzarini as well. So they had a lot at the time, but there was only 4 of us that went. So I went there and it was nuts to me because it was like we were sparring, but it was like it ended up being, was it eight 4 pairs in a ring, like in a normal ring, and we were just sparring. So I was double jabbing, backhanding through someone else, another pair.
Oh, it wasn't even like a massive ring.
No, it was an Olympic sized ring, but you imagine there's 8 people in there.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's true. It's true.
So
Crazy.
it makes it very small, and you got this what, and then the thing is that with the Kazakhstans, all of them are world class. So all of them
Yes.
have won this in the youth, won this in the seniors. So I'm sat there and I'm trying to work, and then it's like we're swapping pairs, but it was a great experience. So we were going to all these training camps, and then we had a lot of countries come over for sparring before the
Mm.
qualifying, and then we're all hearing about this pandemic or this thing. Everyone's like, "Oh, it won't come to us, won't come to us." Then it starts getting closer and closer, and we're like, then the qualifier started, and then everyone's like, yeah, it's kind of getting serious. Next minute, no people allowed. Then something else happened, and then they're like, yeah, it's behind closed doors. And then next minute, they're like, yeah, qualifiers is off. And I was sat there, I was like, is this really serious? So they sent us
Mhm.
home. Oh, you'll probably be in next week. Next minute, it was like full lockdown, and then it was like, yeah, you're not in for like a good while.
It's the craziest thing because most people have said the same thing. They're kind of like, oh, okay, it'll be 2 weeks.
Mm.
Oh, okay, it'll be 4 weeks. And then all of a sudden, this crazy thing happens. And yes, okay, we can argue that the whole world has, been dealing with that. But when you guys are going into sort of major competitions, there were people that were expecting, to go into the Olympics. What does that kind of do to you mentally? How does it play on your mind?
Yeah, for me it was mad because like you get people like Chef Clark and that work so hard, works, and the next one it's like their dream could be completely gone. And it's like, but for me, that was crazy. Like, their dream could be completely shut down. It's like Big Fraser as well. He's waited basically 10 years for this opportunity for this his time, and like he's primed for it, and he did amazing at qualifiers recently. So it was just like, for me, I'm still young. I've still got time. But whereas like these lads, like imagine they decide, like I was thinking worst case scenario, they skip this Olympics. It's like these lads aren't going to wait another cycle, and they've waited this long to be in the situation that they are in now.
Yeah, I mean, I'll be honest. I felt for a lot of people, but especially Fraser. I was like,
But yeah,
please, 10 years, come on.
literally this, and it was such a big dream of his, and and like I said, so anytime I thought about like complaining about, hey, oh yeah, lockdown this, lockdown that, or I just thought to myself, I was like, oh no, I'm not even come close to being in like the worst situation. I was like,
It's true.
imagine how Fraser's feeling or other people like that are feeling.
Yeah, it's true. Let's talk about how you got into boxing. So you got into boxing at 12, didn't you? And by your own admission, I read it
Yeah.
somewhere. This is not me. You said you were a lazy boxer,
Oh,
and
I was a very lazy boxer. So I
wow,
got into it. I used to play for a bit of football, and it was all fitness for my friends and that. So I went down. I was like, oh, I'll give it a go, just see how it is. So I went down. I was like, oh, good fitness. My dad took me down once, and never came again. Like he's a big believer. If I want to go, I'll go myself.
it's true.
So, so I went down, and then I started first 6 8 months. I was doing it, this and that. But then, like my dad never. He was just asking me, "Oh, is it this and that?" And then I'd say, but it was just for me at the time. We had a few good like regional lads, and they all used to come. I used to come into the gym. They all used to beat me up, and I used to hate it. They used to absolutely batter me. And my coach is a big believer. He's like, "It'll make you stronger."
Yeah.
So I got to a point. I started forgetting my gum shield. I started pulling all the
And
tricks.
you know we all know those tricks. You know that.
Yeah.
Just doing my shoelace up. Yeah.
Uh,
Okay.
everything. I was pulling everything out just so I didn't. And then one time my coach saw my dad, and my dad was like, "Oh, it's my Sunday." And he's like, "Do you want the honest truth?" And I was like, "Oh yeah, I always want the truth." He said, "So much potential, but so lazy." He said he said he's got so much potential. He could be special. He says he just lazy. And then my dad comes home to me. It's like, "Oh, so I was boxing." Obviously, I had no idea. He spoke to him. Said, "Oh yeah, it's great. This, that." I was like, "I just spoke to your coach." I was like,
Yeah.
I was like, he was like, he went to me. It's like, "I don't care." He was like, "I don't care if you don't want to do it. If you don't want to do it, don't do it." But he was like, "Don't do anything half-heartedly." Like he was like, "There's no point in life to do anything half-heartedly." So I sat there and thought to myself, I was like, I've got nothing to lose. I've got like, so I just thought I'd give it a go. And then, like I said, I put everything into it. I trained hard. Had my first, like I said, I started the people that used to beat me up. I started beating them up, and then I had my first bout at like, was it 15 years old, and I won it. I won it by stoppage. I was absolutely buzzing. And then from there, it was just like I never looked back. And then I just got, you get addicted to the fact of winning. So I won one, then lost my second one, and that was so painful. And then I was like, I can't lose. I was like, I can't do this. So I just trained harder than everyone else, and then I wanted to win something else. So I wanted a regional. I won a regional. I won a national. Didn't get it first time. Didn't get it second time. Got it the third time. I was like, yes. I was like, I want to get onto England. And then when I just worked my way from the bottom to the top, but it all happened in such a short space of time. Because from having my first bout of 15 to being to having I had GB trials at like 18, 19 years old.
Yeah, I mean, listen, you know what's amazing about that story is number one, somebody that doesn't give up. Because as a coach, one of the most heartbreaking things is when you see potential, you see talent, and they don't fulfill the talent, and it's like you want to squeeze them really tightly. Do you know what I mean? So it's really, really great that you, and not only that, then you get on the journey and then you don't give up. And you were talking about some of those people that used to bash you up, and then now you turn around and you're bashing them up. Didn't you fight? He's a former amateur boxer. Is it Mark Dickinson, who's now a pro?
Oh, me and Mark have had. We've had some tough spars and some. We boxed each other in the ABA finals. I lost him on a split decision, but it was a hell of a fight. They still put in England boxing, but bout of the Was it bout of the tournament?
Nice.
It was a great fight. It was a one apiece going into that third round, but to be honest, I did think he edged it that little bit. He was a little bit sharper off the mark, but I'll tell him now I'm after that rematch in the pros.
But to be fair, one of the most loveliest things about that story is, you know, like I say, you put the work in, you've started to make moves. Do you have any regrets though? Do you have any regrets that you didn't start competing sooner?
Yeah, but my coach was like, he was a bit mad in the sense that I jumped up like levels quite quickly. Like in my first, I actually boxed Harris Akbar in my 10th fight.
Oh, serious?
Yeah.
Crazy.
So
but this is the thing that, so he obviously could see, as in your coach could see your potential, so he must have been like sort of really behind you.
Yeah, massively. He was always, like I said, I boxed him in my 10th fight, and even Harris was, even now when like he's a teammate of mine, he was like, I remember seeing you thinking, who's this kid? He's like 10 fights and he's in the quarterfinals of the Nationals. And at the time, he's had more stoppages than I had bouts. He had more England badges than I had bouts.
That's
so
amazing,
he went in there and he was like, I have no idea who that kid was, but I gave him a really tough fight, and he was like, he came out in one of his coach now is one of the coaches at GB, and they were talking and they were like, oh yeah, we came out that battle and we're like, that's weird. He said he's a well cooked kid, and he was like, that was our toughest bout, and he was like, he was a 10 bouter, and he said. The day after that, he boxed another quite good lad. He had like 40-50 fights, and he stopped him, and then he stopped the lad after that, and then I put on a good performance of myself.
So you basically were the one that gave him the hardest, the hardest time. But how does that feel though? Also, for you to hear like a person like that who's been around the block, do you know what I mean? How does that feel for you? For them people saying, we got to watch out for this kid.
It was great. Like it proper gave me confidence that I could actually do this, because at first I was thinking I'm not that experienced. You got all these lads that they've come up and they're like 7-time national champions, and I'm like, I've just turned up rocked up with my Lonsdales and I'm ready to box.
Well, what's going on here? I'll take part.
Yeah, so I've rocked up from a club called Beartown. Nobody's heard of it, and everyone's sat there thinking, "Who's this kid?" Yeah. And it just worked out that way.
That's brilliant. And talking about the amateur scene now, not necessarily your own teammates, who are your kind of idols on the sort of world scene in the amateurs?
In the amateurs, for me, I'm a big. I spend a lot of time with like Chef Clark and Ben and the rest of them. Like for me, they're like, I feel like they're almost meant to me. Like they look after me. They always like if I need any advice, I can ring Chef. I rang him the other day about sponsorship, and then he's like, listen here, you got to do this, you got to do that, you got to do this. But like I trust and believe in them because they've been there and done it before me. They've been in the exact same position I have. So yeah. It's always good to hear from them, and it's like they always, like anytime I box, they always message me after my fight, and like Chef straight after my fight, Chef sent me a voice note. They said, don't worry. He says it's happened to loads. He said they've done you and Connor dirty. He said, but he said you just keep pushing, and like people like that help keep you going. Like any training camps that are hard, or like the food's terrible or anything like that. I feel like people actually make the trip.
Yeah, that's nice though that you've got kind of the elders looking after you. And what about like on the world stage in terms of other countries? Are there any? You know, you talk about the Kazakh boxers, their quality. Is there anybody else that you look around and think, wow, they're decent?
There was a 64 kilo from, is it I don't even know, Takistan or something like that. But
Yeah,
he is class. And every single time I see him, I was like, he's very good.
nice.
You see, it was like you go to all these tournaments, you see, actually, I was very impressed by a 52 kilo Russian when I went to the under 22s. He didn't look under 22. He looked older than me.
Oh
He
no,
looked,
you looked about 102.
he looked, I'm not even joking, he looked like 30 something years old. He was
Yeah,
massive. He was very small, but very stocky. But he was fighting and he fought this hungry kid. And this kid was very good boxer, but the way he absolutely beat this lad up, it's like he'd seen him in the street and decided to mug him. It was
wow.
just like but I was like, wow. I was like, for me, it was like there was no one denying him that win.
Yeah,
He was getting caught on the way in and everything, but nobody was denying him that win.
yeah.
Whatever he took, he dished it out 3 times over.
Nice. It's funny because I was watching the under 22s the other week, and I was like, "There's a few that I'm like, are you really under 22?
I
Really,
know. I,
really?"
I want to check some people's passports.
Hello. To be fair, I was looking at them thinking, "Nah, you are not under. You're lying. There's some bald-headed men in there, like proper old school 40-year-old looking men."
But, then-
Am I
but,
lying though?
but, the, but the things that we always make a joke about Harris. Harris, he's been on the
Oh, bless
22s
him.
twice. Well, we all take the mix like, Harris, I want to see your passport. So
It's true.
it's like we always like you won the schoolboys at 18 years old. Said when I boxed you, you had a full beard.
He's been around for years as well, hasn't he?
He's been
He
around
has
for
to be fair.
ages. I went to him and said, "Oh, how many bouts you had now?" He's like, "Around 160." I was
Yeah,
like,
come
"What?"
on.
I
How
was
old are
like,
you again?
so, "Yeah." Even the coach is like, "You're not 21."
Yeah.
Wait, I
I
said,
think they need to get the old passport out.
"Yeah." So, but yeah, there was some lads that I could not believe they were under 22.
Yeah, it's crazy. So
But
there are some people that get behind the whole amateur boxing scene only when there's a major tournament like, like the under 22s or the Olympics. It kind of annoys me because I'm involved obviously in amateur boxing. But from your point of view, why should people watch amateur boxing?
then everyone doesn't understand that I know it sounds really arrogant, but most like top amateurs would beat most pros,
It's
hands
not
down.
arrogant. It's not arrogant.
But it's true. But I've seen pros come down to spar, and then even for like 5, 6, even 6 rounds, and I've turned around thinking, "Oh my god, that was just a one-sided beatdown." And I've been like, but people don't understand that. I was like, people say to me, "Oh, when will you be good enough to turn professional?" And I just start laughing. It's like people don't understand the concept of like turning professional. They think it's a bit like football. You've got to be good enough to turn professional, or a team's got to pick you up. They don't understand that you can turn professional, but the fact that you want to be like, you want a good promoter, you want a good deal, you want a good fan base, so they can offer you more. At the end of the day, once you turn professionals, it is about the money.
And I tell you what is clear. Well,
Yeah.
not for some people, but you guys, when you are boxing the best in the world.
If
So that
people,
if you are a world champion, you are literally the best in the world.
people have no idea. Like in the amateurs, you can't avoid anybody. Like when you're in the
It's
amateurs,
50-50 all the way.
you box everybody. I mean, most of the people that you box in the amateurs are the ones that are going to be world champions that you all see.
Absolutely.
You all see each other on the circuit.
Yeah.
It's literally all these lads now, like the French, the this, the that. The France team are very underrated.
Yeah.
Like one thing I've noticed, French boxing, they are very good lads. I went and the under-22s though did very, very well.
Yeah.
So you see
Do you
all
know
these
what?
kids
Sorry,
on
go
the
on.
circuit. Yeah, you see all these people on the circuit, and they're all like, when you box this country, box that country. You got the US, like in amateurs, US. I don't know. I don't feel like they're just very much pro styled. So
I
most of
agree.
the time, I feel like unless you're like Keyshawn Davis or something like that, most of them tend to get outworked. In the fact that
Absolutely.
it's not the fact that they can't box; they're very good boxers, but you've got 9 minutes, so you've got to put something, you've got to put some gas behind it.
Yeah.
So they're all trying to pick 1, 2 shots, but in amateurs, you've got 9 minutes. You got to get these shots in. You got to work hard.
And this has been happening for quite a few years with the American team. Unfortunately, I'm not sure why that started to happen, but I think most of them box like pros, actually.
Yeah, they all do. There's not many of them that don't. That's
Mhm.
one thing I've realized. There's not many of them that actually don't box like pros.
True, true. So I interviewed a guy from Kazakhstan. He is now a
A
professional,
professional.
but he
He,
was a bronze medalist, right? Did you see
yeah,
it?
in the World Championships. I know who it is.
Right, TURNSBAY KULAHMET. But do you know what made me laugh about him though? So
Well,
when I've interviewed him, I've said, "Oh, what is it like to train with Carl Frampton?" And we all love Carl Frampton. What's it like?
yeah,
And he went, "He is nice, but there are loads of Carl Framptons in Kazakhstan." Basically, he's saying, not only when I'm saying, "Oh, you're a fantastic boxer," he's saying, "There's loads of me in
oh yeah.
Kazakhstan. I am not special." Crazy.
But literally in Kazakhstan, it's like when I went to these countries, like these people fight for their lives.
Oh,
Like, like we've got so many different outlets. Like if I quit boxing today, I can turn around and go. Like you can turn around and get a good job, like get good
mhm.
money. You can turn around and do something else quite easily. But with them, it's like one of the jobs there, and I saw someone do this for like basically the 2 weeks I was there. Shovel snow all day, every day, like from early in the morning to like late at night. That's all he did, and I was like, I can't believe he's doing this. And that was his job, and he was just clearing the paths because obviously the big jobs they use the big trucks to do it, but like when it comes to that pavement and stuff, like he was doing it. It was him doing it by hand, and like sometimes it was just snowing, so it's like it's almost like what's the point?
Yeah, yeah,
But
yeah,
like,
yeah.
but the support they get is amazing. Like
Oh,
they proper like back like they support their amateur scenes in the sport, especially boxing. That's why they tend to be so good.
do you know what's amazing also about them is they're that good, right? They're that horrible in the court in the ring, and I mean that in a an amazing way. I don't know if you watched TURNSBAY's last fight, and I was just
Yeah,
like, "You're an absolute." He's like Clark Kent with the glasses outside the ring, very humble, very respectful. We are all
yeah,
gentlemen outside of the ring, really, and then like he's an animal in the ring, but
yeah,
literally. His humility, there's a level of humility there which I find astounding, actually.
yeah. But the things that when I saw him and I saw he was with
Jamie
oh
Moore,
Jamie Moore, I remember him. I was like, when I went to
oh, it's
Kazakhstan, we
quality.
sparred. Yeah, me and him
I was,
had a spar. And actually, it was weirdest thing you've ever said. I've got a friend and like another coach that I work with in Liverpool, and he rang me. He was like, "Oh yeah, there's a Kazakhstan lad that they've been trying to get a hold of you to spar." And I was like, "Well, I said I'm going to under-22, so I won't be able to spar anyone for a while." And then he said his name. I was like, "I swear, I think I know that kid." And then I looked. I was like, "Oh yeah." I was like, "He all came back because I've sparred him before." I said, "Yeah." I said, "Oh, definitely. Well, when I'm back and everything's over with and I have a bit of a break," and said, "I'll definitely will jump in and get some rounds."
I'd pay money to see that.
Hey, great spars. I'm telling you, some people don't understand some of the spars that we have and you get to see is
Oh,
actually great. Even at
yeah.
GB, like some of the spars are absolutely mental. Uh, One of the most craziest spars I saw was, have you heard of Sammy Lee?
No, I can't think who that is.
He 81 kilo. He won the Commonwealth
That's
Gold.
bad. I should know that.
Yeah, from Wales.
Sorry, I'm not
He
even
was.
going to lie and say that I know who he is. I can't think
Yeah,
who it is off
so
the top of my head.
he's one of the most. So he's a right-handed southpaw, and he punches like, supposedly punches like a horse, but only with his right hand, not
Oh,
with his
wow.
left hand. But he's a
Yeah,
southpaw.
yeah, yeah.
But he's knocked out like not a lot of lads with it. He was supposed to be doing 75 kilo before Lewis Richardson got picked. He was the one that was supposed to go, but he
Yeah.
went and he got in a car crash, and I think he dislocated his shoulder, or like
Wow.
he broke his collarbone or something. So Lewis went instead of him, but he's 81 kilo normally, but he just at the time there was no standout in the 75 kilo category. So he said he said, if I can get down weight, will you give me an opportunity? Because Ben was at 81, and Ben has always been performing. So and he won silver this very same tournament I did. I went to the under-22s last time. But yeah, he's a very class act. So it was him and Jordan Reynolds sparring. Oh my
Oh, I
god,
can imagine.
it was. Oh my
I
god,
can imagine.
I was sat
When
there
you
thinking,
when you said Jordan Reynolds, I
oh,
was like, oh my God, I can imagine.
I was sat there. I was like, everyone was sat there like jaws dropped. It was crazy. I, it was one of them you'd pay money for that. It was like
Oh
watching.
wow.
It was like watching Otoragati again.
Oh wow.
But yeah, they proper went at it. But it was a great spot.
Yeah. There are times where you're in a gym and I mean, obviously, when I go to a gym, I don't film. I might film like, I don't know, putting the gloves on or whatever. But then we all stop and we watch the sparring. And it is an
Yeah,
absolute privilege. Well, I find it a privilege to be, part and parcel of that and to enjoy that. Because that's part of the journey, isn't it? And sometimes, like you say, the spars are just spars. They're not, let's not take anything into those sparring stories. There are days where people
yeah.
have a great spar and there are days where people don't, and it is what it is, isn't
Oh
it?
yeah, 100%. Some days you turn up and it just isn't there. You're
Yeah,
forcing. You're trying to. Just the simple things aren't working, and it's just one of them. You almost got to ride it out, and then
yeah.
just kind of move. Try and obviously have a better day tomorrow. And another one that's an absolute bully is Galal Yafai. He's the biggest bully I've ever met. He is.
Good
Don't
boxer,
let
lad.
his size. Don't let his size deceive you.
Oh
He
yeah,
is one of the biggest bullies I've ever seen. And I
quality
realized
lad.
that when a couple months into GB when we went to Kazakhstan, he beat this guy up so much. He was sat on the floor of the ring in between the breaks, and it was me, Connor Tusbury, Chef, and Ben, and we were all laughing, and we were like, oh my god. And it's like he just doesn't want to be in there. And I went to him, oh yeah, one more round. Should have seen the kid. You should have seen his face. He was like, he just didn't want to go back out there, and it was just painful to watch. But he's a proper bully.
I bet he was like, oh, my gum shield, I can't.
I
It
can't
slipped.
spar.
I can't find it. It slipped.
I didn't see him spar. I actually didn't. I don't remember seeing him spar again.
So also, just hold on. There's a question here. Is it true? Oh, let me read it first. You learned
Yeah.
everything. Now I know this is going to be a teammate. This has got to be a teammate. Is it
What did
true
he
that
say?
you learned? Is it true you learned everything you know from at one Ali question mark? I knew it was going to be someone you knew. Is it true?
Yeah, apparently I did so. Oh,
So
it's
you
funny.
when you start making money, you have to
I'll have to
give
send him.
back.
Yeah, that's it.
So just on the again on the kind of Olympics, I wanted to ask you a question about what do you think, and I know it's not necessarily happening too much on the male side, but what do you think about professionals that have had a number of bouts in the professional scene coming back and getting involved in the Olympic cycle?
But for me, it's not really a big issue. Like for me, so like they've had pro fights, they've worn smaller gloves and have done more rounds. but we do a lot around. We used to have WSB, which was basically pro boxing.
Yeah.
So for me, it doesn't really change anything. And the things that they've got to adapt, they've adapted to the pro ranks, and then they've got to come back and speed themselves back up. So in the sense, they don't really gain anything. I don't feel like they gain an upper hand or anything like that. Like, and most of them are getting beat anyway.
But they do get the title of Olympian. I knew you were going to say that. But they do get the title of Olympian, which then, when you go back into the pro scene, I guess affects how much money you earn. I don't know.
Yeah, it does. It does help you. 100%. I do agree with that. But don't they all still have to qualify?
Yeah. So there's a couple that, like you said,
yes,
got absolutely mullered. Got absolutely like literally spanked. I won't name names.
Yeah, but there are pros that supposedly are doing this, but often like they all just get beat. They're like the only one that I can genuinely say that is probably he qualified because he was very highly ranked, Keyshawn Davis, and he's gonna go and probably win. He'll probably win gold unless any foreseen circumstance, because he doesn't really need to speed himself up or slow himself down. He boxes the way he boxes, and it works international in amateur boxing, and it works in the pros. So for him, it's not really an adjustment. Whereas other people, it is a massive adjustment.
Not only is it a massive adjustment, though, technically, again, I won't name names, but watching some of the fights, I was quite surprised at, I mean, trying to be polite here, but so you kind of know that some people don't have don't have the same technical ability. I'm really trying here. The same technical ability, but then you put them against a world-class amateur, and it's like, oh wow, you really don't have the technical ability.
Yeah, but the thing's that one thing I've noticed in the pros, like some of these, like you see these world champions, I'm like, how is he world champion? But like they're strong, they're fit, and they work hard. When you got 12 rounds to break someone down massively, like you get to a point where a skill won't help you, especially against lads like that. But then it's in amateurs, the time is too short, whereas your flaws get exposed very quickly. Like your inability to box or don't have a boxing brain, you will not, like, say if you meet a proper boxer, you will not catch them in that 9 minutes. They'll make you look very stupid and walk out, and you as a pro you'll kind of lose your dignity and supposedly and about.
Yeah, it's interesting because I kind of expected there to be a difference, but some of them that I've seen, I was quite surprised, actually. I was one was a world champion, and I was like, wow, that's interesting. Very, very interesting. But it is what it is. And like, you know, everyone's got a journey and they choose to, I don't understand it. But again, I'm guessing it's the kudos of having that name Olympian.
Oh, yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying?
Having that name Olympian does so much for you. Like in the pros, you get stuff like signing fees. You can dictate to people. They don't dictate to you. When you turn professional, you haven't really got much behind you. It's like you have to sell tickets. You have to do this. You have to do that. Whereas when you're Olympian, you get a signing fee. Then you'll get loads of perks. Sponsors will be a lot easier to come by instead of having to chase your local sponsor down the road or whoever it is. And then like I said, you have the whole perks of, and then you can guarantee yourself a certain amount of fights, a certain amount of money without having to sell tickets. Selling tickets is a plus. You make yourself more money. That's why you get all these young lads that are on the teams now that are doing very well. Like even Mark Castro and the rest of them that are doing very well now. but then they're only fighting 4 or 5 times a year, but they're making very good money because they did very well in the amateurs. They might have not gone to the Olympics, but they don't, like I said, they're doing much better than the people that started from right at the bottom to work their way up.
It's true, and I don't think a lot of people understand that, to be
Because what
honest.
the amateurs, people don't understand what the amateurs gives you. It's like, say, imagine a very long ladder going all the way up, and then instead of joining it right at the bottom, you skip
Yep.
about 4 stages, and then you just jump halfway up the ladder already.
Yeah. And talking about the Olympics, you are aspiring to go to the 2024 Olympics, which has worked out that it's only now a 3-year cycle.
Yeah, it's a 3-year cycle. Yeah,
Right.
for me, even when I got on, I was like, I went to myself, I said Paris is always going to be my aim. It was never even Tokyo was never my aim. For me, I just didn't think I'd be ready. Like, I'm only now getting grips with international boxing, starting to pick up good wins. I beat 2 very good lads, even though they're from Wales and Scotland. The lad from Wales won the tournament I was actually in before, and the lad from Scotland boxed the same Russian, but he was in another tournament that Lewis Richardson was in, and he made it to the finals. So these are all good lads, but I'm starting to get grips of international boxing, and the things that your face almost becomes familiar to these judges. It's the same thing. Whereas, like, even when Pat McCormack walks into a ring, every judge knows who he is, and they're watching him from the offset.
Yeah.
You have few close fights here and there, just because they know you and know who you are. They'll be watching more what you're doing than will the other kid. So me turning up, as much as I might be good enough, there's certain fights that are going to be close. People don't understand. They are going to be close. You're boxing the best in the world. You're never going to walk through anybody at this stage. So,
and nor should you want to.
Oh no, 100% not. But you're rarely ever going to get a fight where you're just going to walk through anyone. Even like I saw Romania. I was like, oh my God, Romania. The kid come out and I was like, oh my God. I said, I'm never saying anything about any kid. Like,
yeah, I've seen a lot of Romanians box, and believe you and me, we went to a camp years ago. They can box.
Yeah, and it's like other countries coming up. Like I saw, there was Israel kid. It's 64 kilo. He made it to the finals, and I was like, wow. I was like, Israel. Like a couple of years ago, I would never think, if I sat there and think I got Israel in a draw, I'd be like, thank you. Yeah. But now,
thank you, Jesus. Now, yeah. See.
Now thinking about it, if I drew Israel, I won't know what to think. I won't be like, is this kid going to be dead good, or is he going to be really bad? I have no idea. Yeah. But I just thought for me that'd be my prime time. Come on after the Commonwealth Games, and the things that with it being in France, it's actually well close to home. A lot of people are going to watch it. Like with it being in Tokyo, it's going to be very hard for people to watch, especially boxing. It's going to be crazy times in the morning, crazy times at night. It's going to be very difficult. I'm not taking anything away from anyone or whoever's going or whatever. It's just, I just feel like for me, and the things that most superstars have done, like that have catapulted themselves into, they've always won gold medals, not always, but close to home has always been amazing. You build a profile, like France is over the sea. You could take a ferry. You could take a Eurostar. You can get there quite easily. So for me, I just feel like it'd be great for my profile and everything, and the boxing as well. And I feel like I'll develop in time. I would have 4 years on the circuit, seeing and boxing these kids constantly. Like some of the lads, like Ben's boxed them like 3 times.
Yeah.
He's boxed and beat some of the same lads over and over again. And then you got other lads he lost to once and then beat him twice. So
it's all about, I guess, sorry to cut across you. I guess it's all about just putting, money in the bag. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, 100%.
it is literally like, okay, especially with someone like you that haven't had as many bouts as, maybe not as so much as like Ben, but a few of the others, you wouldn't have had as many bouts. Do you know what I'm saying before? So one of the good things almost is that you're almost a blank canvas. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, massively. I'm a proper blank canvas. For me, I just got a lot of learning to do. Just on the internationals are very much. It's very different. Like you could box amazing, box really great, but you get caught with two big eye-catching shots that can be the round gone.
Yeah.
So whereas like, and then even say like you land a nice jab or something like that, it's not the be all or end all. Whereas like here, like you can win say in like England, you can win a bout from pretty much a jab, but whereas international, it's not a proper scoring shot. You've got to put something else in it. You've got to put some oomph behind all these shots. And it's like there's a difference between negative boxing and then like back-footed boxing. It's very weird. Negative boxing is like, whereas like Ben's not negative, but then you get people that run, they hit one shot and then go on a wonder, hit another shot and then go on another wonder. But that's negative boxing, but it's like there's a very fine line between it. So
he's slightly unorthodox though, isn't he?
Ben, yeah, he's an orthodox, but it's just
no. I said he's slightly unorthodox though as well.
Yeah, he's very weird. Like, well, to this day,
polite. That was polite.
Oh no! To this day, one thing stuck in my head. We all sat there. I was with one of the coaches, Graham, and was like, "Oh yeah, I was just speaking to George Crotty." He was like, he was sparring Ben before, and he said the only way to describe him was, he said, "Have you ever I said, "Have you ever shadowboxed and then got hit back?"
Yeah, he is awkward. He is awkward.
He's very, very awkward.
But in a good way.
Yeah. But that's always like, anytime I think about Ben, that's what I think of, and it just makes me laugh so much.
Well done on the Italian job. Unlucky on it too, but it was what it is, and I heard it was a robbery. What do you think? Because that was Callum 2304. We kind of covered that, but it was a bit of a robbery. We kind of came to the conclusion, didn't we?
Yeah, it's just international boxing, like, and also when I found out Russia was funding it, it was a bit more understandable, and you came away with £8,000. No, 8,000. Was it dollars? Euros.
Was it euros?
If you want gold.
Yeah, I know.
8,000 euros for gold. Was it 5,000 for silver and 2,500 or something like that for bronze?
And does that go to the team, as in GB, or does that go to the individual?
It goes to you as a person. I
like that idea, though.
They're starting to do it more often. Russia do it a lot in their tournaments. Even their box cups, they're starting to do it. And
do you know why I like it? It's because I think we've lost quite a few people because of COVID to the professional scene. Okay, and I think it will take personally a few years to kind of regenerate, talent. I don't know if that's the right way to put it, but I tell you what would be great, to keep people in the sport, to sort of hand out a few checks. Do you know what I mean?
Massive.
And keep people in the sport. What do you reckon?
100%. But like this type of money can change people's lives. You think you get £8,000?
Mate,
well, you can do that. Like, you can buy a new car. It just helps with the funding. It just makes life easier. That's why I say, but these countries, they're fighting for their lives. 8,000 euros to some of these countries, it's all, like, you take that to Israel, that's a lot. Like, that's changing you and your family's life.
Yeah.
So
I just think it's an amazing thing for just to keep people interested, to keep them on, because massively. I think that people go onto the pro scene, some people, because it looks very glamorous and it looks like, do you know what I mean, the razzle dazzle, and then when they get there they're like, oh, like, there's no money. Don't box very often.
You don't box very often, and it's tough fights for sometimes not a lot of money if you're not up there already. Next time out, I have no idea, to be honest. Like I said, I only recently got back, so I'll have some time off. And with them going to the Olympics, the next tournament's the Olympics, so there isn't really going to be anything coming up until afterwards. For me, I'm going to be trying to put myself in bidding for the World Championships, which is in, I think, October time. So that's my next hope, because I put a good show of myself in the under-22s, and they all know, and they all all the coaches messaged me afterwards saying they didn't think I lost, and they know that and I knew that was my final, so I knew if I got through that, no, the rest of it wasn't going to be as hard as beating this Russian, because he actually beat the rest of them quite comfortably. And I know I would have beat the rest quite comfortably as well.
So you just got a bit of an unlucky
draw.
Yeah. But again, you win from that. You learn from it.
From that, 100%. There was, like I said, straight away, there's stuff I know I can improve on. Like, there was just little things, but for me, it would have made such a big difference. But I know already, but they'll talk about that in my bout review and stuff like that, so it'll be quite good. Like I said, so that'll be the next one. And apparently the money in the World Championships is even more. Apparently they're talking like nearly 20,000, 15 to 20,000 for gold. So I think it's like 5,000 for
bronze. That's an incentive.
Yeah, for me, I never let money try and like motivate me. At the end of the day, I love what I do. I take it one step at a time, one fight at a time, and I just tick it off. That's what my coach always tells me, one down. I was literally counting it down as I was going, one down, 4 to go, 2 down, 3 to go. I was just counting it down that way. And that's the way I've done it. Like, you can't overlook anyone in front of you, because if you do that, you end up getting beat by someone you wouldn't expect.
True. Listen, it's been an absolute pleasure. You are such a lovely young man. If your parents are listening, you've done a good job.
I'm sure, they will be.
You've done a good job.
Oh, thank you very much.
Listen, I wish you all the best in the future, but keep in touch with us. It's been an absolute pleasure.
100%. It's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you.